Here's your host, Chelsea Edwards.
Besties, welcome to another episode of Chattin with Chelsea. I'm your daytime bestie, Chelsea Edwards. Today, we are having an honest conversation about addiction, healing, and the weight so many women carry. We have a therapist here who is going to chat with us about the holidays and seasonal depression and how those can trigger someone who's already battling with addiction. But first, we are talking with a mother of four about her powerful memoir. It's hard to stay sober no matter how much I love my kids if I still hate myself. Such a powerful quote from Wife, Mother, Drunk. We have the author here, Emily Redondo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
I just have to take a breath after like reading this book. There's so much that happens. It's not just about your years being a mother and battling addiction, but you actually go back. I love how you wrote this. You go back years, times in your life where there was trauma, going back generations, seeing the addiction in people who came before you.
Right.
Man, did you do research through this or did you just put it all together?
Well, I started as just with my life, and that I wanted to sort of investigate what happened to me in terms of like, how did I end up at such a dark place. And, you know, especially as a mother with the things I had done, I was scared, which is part of the reason why I started writing it, because I thought maybe I could track down, you know, like, oh, okay, well, maybe things went off course here, you know, maybe that's it. And of course that never happened. But then I did do a lot of research into, my grandmother wrote a lot. So she kept diaries every day. She wrote family history. So there's a lot of stories that are already out there that I was able to use.
Wow.
And then I also used a lot of documents from my times in rehabs and hospitals, and because it was very important that the book was true.
Right.
Yeah.
Were there parts of your grandmother that you saw in yourself once you went back and read her diaries?
Yeah, I think one of the things is that my grandmother was sort of valued as being, quote, strong. She was a widow with 8 young children, and she was always doing something. You know, she made all their clothes, was doing all the cooking, and it was all very task-oriented as a way for her value, basically. Yeah. But, you know, what ends up getting missed is that in this family with all these kids, nobody got affection. Nobody got alone time, sitting and reading a book with their mom. And then also, my mom was in her 50s before she ever heard my grandmother tell her that she loved her.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. So, and it wasn't that she didn't love her, it was just, you know, my grandmother comes from a lineage of farming, a lot of hard labor, a lot of work, a lot of kids, and, you know, just things weren't discussed, things weren't shown. So I think that I did learn some things in terms of that, as in, you know, you work really hard, you're valued by, you know, what kind of a mom you are as a provider. And then, you know, with my mom's generation, it kind of went into, you know, more affection, I think, but still things were never discussed. Yeah. And also my mom's feelings weren't really shown. She did that all behind closed doors, the same way my grandmother did.
And that was something that you took as well?
I think that I accidentally did, because I never knew how to talk about whether it's feelings or my own insecurities, or whether it was, you know, my dad was a very angry alcoholic at times. And so, you know, being mad was something that was like, it's a bad thing. You know, it's not good. You know, women, we're not going to get angry. You know, we're not going to cry. We're not going to, you know, we're going to be tough. And so I did take on a lot of those things. I also took on this idea that moms are sort of superhuman.
Right.
That, you know, my mom wasn't actually like a real person. She was my mom.
Yeah. But at some point she admitted to you that she was also an alcoholic.
Yes.
So did that open your eyes to there's an actual person behind there?
I think it was poor timing on my mom's part. I mean, so because both my parents are alcoholics and they just drank very differently. So my mom was a very quiet, you know,
closet alcoholic.
Yeah, well, she drank in front of us, but her behavior, you know, that kind of a thing was just very like low key. And I think that when she told me, number one, I was 15, so, you know, but it also felt just, I mean, I felt completely betrayed because, you know, she's supposed to be on my side. You know, like she's my advocate, she's my ally, and my father was very not happy with me because I had exposed that family secret about his drinking, and I really felt on my own. I felt I was mad.
Yeah. All right, so much in this book, but we've got to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back. All right, Wife, Mother, Drunk. We're back with the author of Wife, Mother, Drunk, Emily Redondo. This is your memoir. You talk about dealing with addiction, but also all the things that happened in your life leading to that. Right. Now, you're a mother of 4. Yes. So you were battling this while still taking care of children, being in and out of rehab 20 times, or some sort of rehab 20 times. What was it that you think kept you from not having to go back and really getting healing?
Well, for the last time that I went to a rehab, it was 2016, and I really, really believed that if I didn't stop, I was going to die the next time I drank. I had had too many close calls. I really shouldn't be alive right now. And while I was at that rehab, I just missed my kids. I knew what I had, you know, done for most of their young lives. And I was sitting next to my youngest son who was in kindergarten. And he's telling me some story and I'm just, you know, staring at him. And all of a sudden I said to him, I really miss you, Spencer. And he looked at me and he's like, Mom, I'm right here. You know, it was sort of like a wake-up call where I'm just beating myself up with shame and remorse. And these kids right in front of me, they want me right now. Yeah. They want their mom right now.
Do you feel like women who are dealing with addiction get treated more harshly if they are mothers? You had to deal with, you were still nursing. You had your breast pump while you were in rehab. So it seemed like people were treating you differently, even though they were in rehab with you. They had not so kind words for you.
Yeah, I do think, you know, it goes back to our earlier conversation about the super moms and, you know, what's our fairy tale idea of what moms are supposed to be like. And I'm not sure there's anything worse than an alcoholic mother. And when I was at that rehab, the preschool director found out that I was at rehab, as well as a church that we were going to. And my husband and kids had meals every single day that I was gone. They offered free child care, you know, play dates, all sorts of things with the kids and my husband. And when I got back from the rehab, they wouldn't even speak to me. They wouldn't look at, it was like I had been erased. no hellos. And these were women that I did have friendships with, that we would get together with, and now it was all of a sudden like I didn't even exist. And that was really, really horrific for me to experience. And it took my husband, you know, a little bit to actually see, like, because, you know, it's like, is this real? And then, you know, he saw it for himself, and that's just kind of the way it is. And that stuff still happens. There's still things that get published, and, you know, the comments are the sympathy for my husband and children.
But not for you.
Right.
Part of that judgment that you're getting is from people who are assuming that you were drinking while you were pregnant. Were you drinking while you were pregnant?
I was, with my last son. I was. Yep. And I actually found out that I was pregnant with him in a detox center for alcohol. And I think the myth is that we don't care. And, you know, I tried desperately the entire time, waking up every day, you know, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like that. And I just couldn't get it. I couldn't do it.
How are the children now?
They're good. Yeah. They're very independent. A lot of things changed once I got sober this last time. We're all on a different path, different timing, but we do a lot of things different now than we did before, for sure, as a family.
Yes, so you've talked about in the book about so much trauma that you went through, but also becoming the trauma.
Yeah.
What kinds of conversations have you had to have with the kids?
Well, I try not to have conversations that they're not quite ready for.
Okay.
For instance, my kids don't want to read the book. Maybe they will at some point, but right now they don't. It's here if they want to. But I think that the first thing I had to do was really accept and own and take responsibility of my behavior, my actions, while I was drinking, in a way that they were going to be validated however and whatever came out of their mouth. You know, I tell them that they're not responsible for my feelings, and they're also learning. You know, I didn't really know how to talk about stuff when I was their age. And so it takes a lot of encouragement to have conversations when, number one, everybody's busy all the time. You know, it's always something going on, and to sit and have like a heart-to-heart conversation, it's gutsy, you know?
Yeah. That's an important skill to teach them.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to teach them everything.
Right, right.
That's an important one as well.
Yeah.
How long sober now?
Over 9 years.
Over 9 years?
Yeah, I had 9 years this summer.
Something to celebrate.
Yes, definitely.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this journey. We are with you as you continue to heal.
Thank you
and
so much.
Push through and help so many people through sharing your story as well. So where can people find the book?
They can find it, the easiest is on Amazon, of course, but it's also at Barnes & Noble and local bookstores. It's on the Simon & Schuster website. So, yeah, all sorts of places.
Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
You're forever bestie in my book, okay? You guys got to check out the book, Wife, Mother, Drunk. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking with a therapist on how addiction can be triggered during the holidays. Be right back. The holidays and seasonal depression can trigger those who are struggling with addiction. So here to help, we've got Dr. Evette Demas, the founder of Pearls of Change Wellness. You're also a licensed psychotherapist. So you've worked with families and individuals.
Yes.
And you see this time of year. What is it about that? And let's first explain seasonal depression. Like, what is that?
So seasonal depression isn't just a mood change. Basically, it's a chemical shift. When sunlight decreases, serotonin levels goes down, right? And now sleep has changed. You're not showing up the way you would normally. You're experiencing fatigue. And basically, that's just a different you that's showing up during the different seasons. Your mood is shifted because there's a chemical shift.
Okay, so it's not just in our heads. Like,
It's not just in your head. It is truly a thing.
How do you see that affecting people who are already dealing with addiction?
That's a great question. So here we are, in this space of decreased sunlight, as I shared. Their routine has shifted, and then they're trying to balance how to deal with grief, how to deal with isolation, how to deal with family challenges, and finding themselves kind of reverting back to what they're comfortable with, which is a substance use, is very common.
The holidays are supposed to be a happy time, right? That's how it's marketed to us. But I think we may glaze over it being a challenge.
Yes.
So you mentioned like these family dynamics that can also be triggers as well. Are we just talking, feeling the pressure or not liking the conversations, or what that can affect that as well?
It could be anything that arises that would trigger you to feel as though I need a drink, or I need to remove myself, or this is too much, right? But you have to first identify what those triggers are and be comfortable with creating those boundaries, especially if you're in recovery.
Does it mean maybe we have to separate ourselves from the family situation?
Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. And families, we have to be supportive when we know that our loved one has struggled with an addiction previously, right? Removing that pressure of performance, because during the holidays, you just want to be present. And most of the time, many individuals that may have struggled previously find themselves having to show up joyful or having to show up in a way that's already challenging for them. But if family can just say, okay, I'm just happy that you're here. No expectations, no depth of who I'm expecting you to be. I'm just happy that you're here. That helps eliminate a lot of stress that they'll experience.
Now, if the family doesn't know that you're battling with this, are there steps that you should take? Is this the time to share that, or is that something that you can continue to keep to yourself?
Well, most individuals that are struggling during this time are not going to share that they're struggling. However, there are signs and symptoms that you can look for in a loved one to say, okay, maybe there's something going on, right? If you see that your loved one is isolating, moving away from normal family activities that they would actually enjoy participating in, or if they're agitated, irritable, any of those signs, doesn't necessarily mean that, they are exerting or finding themselves in addictive behaviors, but you just know that something is there that would cause for you to check in. Hey, how are you? How's things going? Depending on the level of comfortability that they have, they may share, but you first create that safe space for them to be able to do so.
It seems like such a thin line, because we can be at get-togethers, people can be pouring up multiple glasses, but you're saying there are certain things to look for where this is not just somebody celebrating the holidays, but it's a problem.
Right. Anytime there's excess, it's almost kind of like an identifier. But again, with the holidays, right, it is a thin line, as you shared, because you don't know if this is just the holidays that's bringing this excitement, this joy, this new version of them that's partaking, or is this actual addictive behavior, right? So again, I would always say, go back to those symptoms that I shared, those signs, if they're isolating, if they're sleeping less and eating less, but yet partaking in substance is a lot more than what they would normally do, then I would highly encourage you to have a conversation.
Now, if you are the person dealing with this, especially the moms out there,
Yes.
they're trying to make the holidays magical,
Right.
and at the same time, they could be struggling behind closed doors.
Yes.
What should they do? What are the steps that they could take to be able to move forward and move into healing?
I would say check in with yourself first and foremost, right? And identify what's triggering you. And if it is the holidays and performance, pull on your support system. Now is not the time to isolate, but more importantly, the time to pull forward and say, I need support. I'm struggling. You know, I'm a mom, I'm here, I'm trying to do all the things. I'm trying to show up for everyone, and I'm not showing up for myself the way I need to. But it's rare that you get someone with addictive behaviors to have that conversation. Usually they're really good at kind of suppressing what it is that they're feeling or what they're experiencing.
And so it might take the family and the people
Absolutely.
around them to create that safe space, as you
That's
said,
right.
so that they can
Absolutely.
have that conversation and move forward.
Yeah.
Any other tips or advice you want to leave the people out there with?
During the holiday season, I definitely want to remind those that could possibly be struggling that you're not alone. You know, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI Greater Houston, is a great community resource. We provide peer-to-peer support groups and a warm hotline for those that may be struggling. You know, just reminding that you don't have to struggle in silence and you don't have to go at this alone, that it is okay to not be okay. And just remember that together we can.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
that.
Thank you for having
wonderful
me.
advice.
Yes.
You guys, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back after this.
I've got the feeling. Come back to me.
We hope you found this episode impactful. Thank you for watching, and thank you to my guests for being here. Check out Pearls of Change Wellness for help. And of course, you gotta read Wife, Mother, Drunk. You guys keep up with us on social at Chelsea Show Fox. Subscribe to our YouTube, Chattin with Chelsea, and we'll see you on the next Chattin with Chelsea.